Hey guys, it's F1-26 here, and welcome to my first competitive league race on F1 2018. We are here, of course, at Australia, Melbourne, for the first race of the season here with RGL, a league which I've joined for the first time on F1 2018 in the Mercedes, teaming up with OMG, it's Joe. So we're looking to go for the constructors, really. Joe will probably be the number one driver, but I'll be doing my best as we come to start our qualifying lap here. Qualifying on the super softs because the ultra softs are horrendous. This lap's just going to be a warm-up lap to warm up the tyres, and then we'll go full beans on the second lap, so just leaving the ERS in high for this lap. We've actually negotiated turn 1 quite well. A pretty difficult corner to get right, as you do understeer quite a lot, and it is easy to get invalidated on the exit. Coming down to turn 3, we've got the car swung in nicely there as we now come through turn 4, down to third, all over the curb there, and we've run out very wide. And as you can see at the bottom, VRT Verstappen has left the session. He was the host, and that means that I have disconnected. So unfortunately, I couldn't get a qualifying time in, but luckily my car was still on the grid. No idea why. Normally it disappears, but as you can see, I'm starting in 12th. But at the moment, I can't get in my car because it's not giving me the option to take control. So my air is just driving around the formation lap. I'm hoping maybe even if I can't get control now, I will be able to get control when the race starts, which will allow me to at least race from the back. Maya has decided to start on supers as well, which would have been exactly what I was going to do. So he does sort of know what he's doing, although I would like to be driving my car at this point. But as you can see, it disconnects again. VLT Verstappen's left the session, checking the party, connecting, and that's pretty much race over if we can't get back in, unless our car's somehow on the grid. As you can see, I wasn't very happy. I've just smacked my camera across the room. However, luckily this time the disconnection was very short-lived, and as you can see, we are, after all that drama, on the grid in P12. We have 5 lights, and it's lights out now, and away we go for the round 1 of RGL Season 4, I believe this is. That's probably not right, but there we go. We've not got a great start. Bailey's got a better start than us, so we're down to last briefly, but we're taking no prisoners. Up the inside of Bailey and Diablo into turn 1. Diablo's managed to hang it round the outside. So we've maintained position on the start. There's a bit of lag there. I think James has lifted off there, frightened of the lag. So we're going to go for a big dive bomb into turn 3 rather. We passed a couple of cars there, back up into the points already, up into P9, as we're now behind the Williams now of Visualize, who I raced in a couple of socials, I think, in AOR as we come towards the end of sector 1. So a good start from us, but unfortunately there's a Ferrari spinning. We're going to have to slam on the brakes there as people manage to find their way around the outside, and we're back down to 11th there out of the points as we have Diablo going around the outside. So we're down to 12th once again here with only the spinning Ferrari behind us, but we're going to keep it alongside through turn 9 there as we head down the back straight, sort of towards the high-speed chicane, running very close side by side. I'm not backing out of this. I'm going right around the outside, and James does back out there. So a very dramatic first lap. We've got a good run on Visualize on the exit of the chicane as well, which is going to allow us to move back up into P10 here. So a very dramatic first lap, a lot of changing of positions, and we end up 2 positions up on where we started, but we could have really been in 8th at this point. But at least we haven't got damage, and on the bright side, we're actually in the race, which I wasn't expecting after disconnecting again on the formation lap and throwing my camera across the room. So Joe also qualified on Supers, my teammate, and he's currently in P2, so looking good for him. And if I can make my way through the field, I'll be looking to get involved in the battle for the podium maybe, but it's going to be a tough ask. There are some quick drivers in this league, especially if I get stuck behind traffic, as we have a look on Boris Letterbox into turn 3. We've lost the back end there, and James is going to come up the inside there. Very aggressive move from James, I think, there, sort of forcing his way through. Boris's run wide as well, so we maintain P10 for the moment, but I wasn't particularly happy with that move at the time. It was probably reasonably fair, but it's not really an overtaking space. There's no real point in going for the move at this point. And as he's jumped on the brakes very early there, I've charged up the inside and made the apex nicely. Pretty aggressive move for myself. Not normally the kind of person to go for those moves, but I wasn't very happy at the time because I should have been starting very near the front. I could have got pole with my pace on the supers, so to be back in 9th isn't what I had quite intended. Unfortunately, I did lag bubble James on his screen, but I didn't notice that at the time, and I wasn't going to be waiting around for him anyway. So skipping a couple of laps later, Warden has lost it on the chicane. Maybe contact, maybe lag with incident with someone, who knows. But that brings us up into P8 now, as we've got Bailey, I think, ahead of us. as well as someone else, BR Button, who somehow, for some reason, started on the Ultras despite not sending a time in qualifying. As you can see, there's a car in the wall there, that's Street Game in the Sauber on lap 4, which moves us up another position into P7, just a couple of free positions on the last lap. Every little helps pretty much. But what I hadn't noticed at this point, as Jack RT's in the pits, was that my brake bias was on 53%, which is the bias that I use for qualifying. And I would normally change that for the race, but due to all the drama of me almost disconnecting and thinking I wasn't going to race, I basically forgot to do that. So at this point, my rear tyres are probably melting, which is obviously not good, because if the rear tyres melt, it's very difficult to keep it on the track. BR Button pits, so I don't have to fight him, which is a good thing, as we're now up into P5 here as we start lap 5. So an eventful first few laps as we now skip to sector 3, and as you can see coming into here, you can see a lot of oversteer, just managing to catch the car, and at this point I think I realised that my brake bias needs to be changed in order to try and cool down my tyres, but at this point it's too late. My tyres have basically reached melting point, and I'm just going to have to struggle around for another couple of laps. I can pit as early as lap 8, so I only need to do 2 more. As we now come to the chicane on lap number 7, through the chicane nicely. It's a very difficult corner as we've lost the car there on the exit, and we managed to slide in just into the wall. We managed to avoid damage, luckily, and we've managed to reverse it out very quickly and get it going in the right direction again. But that's further cooked and heated our tyres, which is not great. We've also lost about nearly 10 seconds, I'd say, from that, which is definitely not great. We lost the position to Diablo, and we still need to limp around for one more lap on these very hot supers, which are now even hotter due to the spin, to allow us to go to the end on the softs. So not ideal there, but again, very lucky to still be in the race. Quick reactions from myself to get it down into reverse and get out of that wall. Light tap on the wall, but not enough to give me damage. I think that was probably fair. I barely scraped it. So now skipping on to lap 8, Joe's been kind enough to not pit this lap, and as a result I should be coming in for a set of softs, which should take us to the end. Visualize has caught us, but he needs to make another pit stop, so at this point we are in a net 6th, I think. But still, we should be higher. We should be right behind Bailey, up in that fight for the podium here. So it's a pretty good stop from the Mercedes boys, and hopefully these tyres with the adjusted brake bias will be okay for the rest of the race. Carnage has occurred for some reason, and we're going to comfortably come out in 8th, despite all the incidents that we've had in the first stint of this race. And we now have to do 21 laps, I think, on these tyres to get to the end, as we understeer out the pit exits due to cold tyres. But yeah, when BR Button and Visualize pit, we should be up to P6, and I don't think we'll be able to achieve much more than that. Maybe we can catch Diablo, it depends how good his pace is. He hadn't done any practice really, so the chances are there. We haven't got a penalty yet, which is also a positive, as Australia is a big corner cutting track. I expect lots of people will get penalties, so we need to do our best just to bring home as many points as possible. Damage limitation. Langman isn't here this week, so it's good for the constructors in Mercedes versus Toro Rosso, but Dominator's up in P2 at the moment. So we're just looking to gain as many points on them as we can, as we now have a virtual safety car. Boris Letterbox has retired from the race, and this is going to give a couple of people up ahead a free pit stop, which is not ideal, of course, but that's how the game works, as we've absolutely cocked up the restart there. We've gone into the red and slowed it right down, so we're nearly a second in the green when it actually did go green. So that's potentially going to hamper our chances of passing Visualize and BR Button here. I think Visualize has damage because he's actually now behind the Force India, as we passed him quite easily there, despite him pitting under the virtual safety car. But as you can see, BR Button just ahead of us still, so status quo pretty much from before BR Button pitted for the first time. And he's now just ahead of us again, and we're just behind him. So he's in essence had a free pit stop on us, but it's fine. We're now both going to the end. My pace should be better than his, especially if my tyres kept under control, so hopefully we can get past him pretty soon, up into P6, see what we can do about the top 5. I think we'll be quite far behind. Only Diablo actually managed to pit under the virtual, so the other guys will have to make a pit stop under the green, which means Diablo could be on for a podium here, despite jumping in at the last minute to have a race, as we're now not too far behind Bilbao, and his tyres will probably just be getting up to temperature at this stage, whereas mine, having been on them for a lap now, will be up to temperature, as we've nailed the chicane there. We should be within DRS. We are indeed within DRS, as we're gaining a lot with overtake ERS. He's going defensive. We're going to try and hook it up around the outside. Later on the brakes with the warmer tyres. around the outside. We should have the superior traction. He's still hanging it in on the inside. We're going to leave him the space if he wants it. He's backed out, and we managed to make the move stick around the outside of that corner there. The third to last corner, turn 14, I think. But I think he will now have DRS, and indeed we don't have DRS, so logic would dictate that he has it now. So we're using overtake ERS anyway to try and keep him behind, but the run with the DRS is pretty powerful. He has a look up the inside, but he's not far enough alongside. We're able to claim the apex for turn 1. He has to back out, and that's us now up into P6, and hopefully we can maintain the position there as we now skip on to lap number 12, I believe, and we just cut the inside of chicane there and got a penalty. We're pushing quite hard. Bailey's 11 seconds ahead of us, so it's looking unlikely at this stage, I can't lie, but we're going to give it our best shot as we're now driving around later on in the race. Unfortunately, Diablo's crashed. He's clipped the inside curve on this corner, and after doing so well, being on for maybe a podium as we just avoid his car, which is chilling in the middle of the track. And a little mistake there has just cost him dearly, and his front right tyre, I'd assume, has come off the car, and that's him out the race. But I'm not going to complain. That's a free position for us as we're now up into P5, and Death Bro has got damage, I think. He had a collision with either Diablo or Bailey, so our pace has been pretty good here, and we've managed to catch him up as we have a look up the inside, forgetting the fact that he is Australian and I'm probably about 3 car lengths behind him on his screen. So we need to be careful here because we should be able to negotiate him pretty easily, especially if he has damage. But we need to remember that my car probably isn't in the same place as it is actually on his screen, so we need to be careful about that. Getting in the slipstream now, he's going defensive. We're going to pull out to the racing line. He's moving across on us. He's hitting us on the straight, so we clearly weren't fully alongside, or we were ahead maybe on his screen, but we got the move done nicely into turn 1, and now we maybe have to get after Bailey. The gap's decreased a bit. It's down to 8 seconds from 11 after the pit stop and the spin drama, but unfortunately we didn't quite have enough in the tank. We've got the gap down to about 5 seconds, and with Bailey's extra penalty, we only need to get it under 3 seconds in order to claim the podium here, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. But still, I can be pretty happy with this race. There's a lot to take from it. My pace was very good, especially on the soft stint, and without the disconnection I probably would have finished second. Even without the spin I probably would have finished second, because I was only like 8 seconds off Dominator in P2 as we now have the podium. Sadly, not me on it today, but congrats to Joe, my teammate there, on taking the first win of the season here, with Dominator in second and Bailey a good drive from the back for him to take the final podium spot. Disappointed not to be up there, of course, but the 4th place is pretty good considering that I was not going to be in the race at one point. So, pretty happy with that overall. Congrats to Joe. Mercedes will lead the constructors because Langman wasn't here. So it's overall a good start to the season, despite the fact that it could have been better. As you can see, the results on the screen, we were only 15 seconds off the win, despite starting from the back and the spin, etc. So really it could have been more, but it's Death in P5, which he managed to hang on to, with Visualize in P6 and Warden in P7, Jack in P8, and I think Street Gamer in P9. I can't see it, there's something over it on my screen. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy this race. Not my best drive maybe, but a lot to take from it still. And I'll see you next time for round 2 of RGL, or maybe round 1 of AOR some point in the next week. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.